Hello everyone, welcome back to Subway Builder. Last time we created this extended metro line that turns south from here, following more or less what happens in real life. It's a bit in a different place. And we also extended this line over here, and both of these go to this town of Spijkenisse. And maybe we can check how these stations are being used. Not so much yet. Maybe the demand needs to grow. Over here, of course, there's a lot of demand in the station. Over here also, apparently. But what I wanted to do today is extend the same red and green metro lines to the east now. So we have the green line, the AB line, it goes like this. And then we have this C line which just does the same, but it continues south. But in reality, the green line, the A and the B lines, they continue towards the west, but we replace it with a train station. But they also continue further east than this, so I wanted to work on that part, because there is still quite some demand in this area over here. So let's see if we can build that. Of course, normally I would just add the locations of real life stations, but since we already made a change starting from here, so in reality, in real life, the metro line continues, well, a bit further north. And there's a station here, for example, but we can continue them in this direction and then up north towards the train station Rotterdam Alexander, because that's what's happening in real life, and I want to connect this metro line to that train station because that's also what happens in real life. But maybe we'll also try to connect to this water bus over here. We'll see. Let's see how far we got and where we go exactly. So another thing we did last time was build this shunting yard over here. Of course, it has no use in game, but I think it just looks nice. And in real life, there's another shunting yard over here. So I think it makes a lot of sense to add that one, because this one would mainly be used by this cyan line. Although this other one could go there in theory, it's quite an effort. But I think we'll build another one over here. And before I forget, another last thing I did off camera was fix this issue where this train would go. It would go towards here and then return right away. The issue was quite simple. It's in the tutorial of the game really, so it was my own fault to not pay attention to that. Once you edit the route, make sure that the end station does not have two pluses. Then everything goes wrong. So the end station has to just appear once, and all the other stations have to appear twice, and then everything works fine. So that was the issue. I fixed it off camera. For now, let's see if we can go either in this direction or we build another shunting yard over here. And for that we need the demand bubbles. So I think what would be nice is we could first go down and then east and then north again. I'm not sure if it makes the most sense, but in real life there are 3 metro lines over here. And they all have the same direction on this over here, and then they split off. So I'm fine with having multiple lines here as well. And we could have one line, for example, that goes downwards. Let me check what is the height of the station. It's minus 9 meters. So let's go to minus 9. And then I'm fine with having multiple lines. So one line could go south maybe. Minus 9 is 1 times the cost, so okay, so that's fine. But maybe we can move up a bit to minus 2 is not allowed to cross roads, and minus 3 is still 1 times the costs, also not allowed to cross roads. Minus 4 is, so maybe we can go to minus 4. And then this is, in reality, there's not really a station here. The water bus can't stop there, but it's just a rowing club. But let's build a station. Let's see, if we build it over here, would it be one station group? It looks like it. Yes, it's one station group. Although we would need to go through these buildings to make the curve. But because this is such a large stretch of land where we do not need to cross any roads, I think we can move to, for example, -2 meters, and then at this road we might need to go underground again. But maybe we even go above ground, because that's even cheaper. So I think we'll do that. We'll use this area to go above ground. But I do not want to go... Okay, wait. I do not want to go at over the water here. So now we can go above ground. +5 is more expensive than 4 meters above ground. Let's also check the demand. Yeah, I think this station is fine for now. People can also transfer to the water bus. Then we go over there and we do another thing where we have another metro station. And then here we need to cross at +5 meters. Let's check demand. Yeah, we could have a station like this. At +5, maybe a bit further to the left. Is this one station group? It seems like it. Seems to be a station group. And then we can move north. So I'm not sure what I will do with this shunting yard. Maybe it's just like a sidetrack. I think that makes sense. So we can have this line go north over here. I'm not sure what we do with these demand blocks just yet. Or all of this. That could be another line maybe. I think this one will go north because I want to connect to this train station over here. So let's try that. And let's build a station. Yeah, maybe right at this demand bubble. Why not? Like so. So I don't think that one exists in real life. So for now we use this automatically generated name. Then the next station, we could build one. Well, here's a lot of water, that's the issue. Could build one over here, for example. Maybe in this direction. Like so. And then how do you want to continue? I don't really want to cross the water if I don't have to. But there are not that many options. Apparently, probably in real life the metro goes this way. But it would be nice to satisfy this demand also. Is there a worker demand? Some. I think it's easiest to just follow the way the metro goes in real life. But then here it could split off to move towards the shunting track. Could have something like this. But we'll see how that goes. For now, we just keep going in this direction. Let's check the demand again. And then I think we will use the locations of where the stations are in real life. So there is one just over here in real life. So that would be a nice place for a metro station, also given the demand. So the name of this station is Schenkel. Would be nice to connect up to that station without destroying any buildings or going over the water if it's not necessary. So we connected that one. Then the next station in real life is over here. But maybe that one is not necessary, because the next one would be just a little bit further north over here. I think that would be a good one to have. And then the one over here is not really necessary. The people from this demand bubble can move to this station. So I think we'll have it over here between the demands. And the name of that station is Oosterflank. So let's connect these. Let's avoid all these buildings. It is a bit tricky. Train will slow down a bit, but that's okay, not too much. Like so. And then we have a metro station at this train station. Problem is, this train station is at 5 meters high. So we cannot build a light metro on top of it, because stations need at least 4 meters vertical clearance. So let's build the metro station on top at 9 meters. And that should work. And then we can call it Alexander. Maybe we put Rotterdam in the name just to be sure. It's the same name as the train station, just with the metro. So now we need to go to 9 meters high, but we have quite some space to do so. So this is perfectly fine. Then what happens in real life here is that one of the lines, maybe the A line, actually let me check. Yeah, the A line continues to the west over here, north and then west. And the B line goes north and then east. I'm not sure how far exactly. I think not that far. Yeah, it goes all the way over here. So that's the B line. So I think we can keep doing that in here as well. So let me check the locations of the stations in real life. So I've added the real life locations of train stations over here. So one just has 3 more, and the other one continues all the way over here. But let's see which ones we need to satisfy demand. And you see that, yeah, because there are so many metro stations in real life, there's quite a lot of demand here. I think this part we will save for another line. But we can definitely build this station over here. Let's do that. And I think we should go down again a little bit, because 9 meters high is quite absurd, really. So let's go to, okay, maybe 7 for now, and then we continue down. So the name of that station is Graskruid. Let's go down there. But there's a building in the way. Like so. And then the next one is over here. Let's see the demand. Yeah, the 2 stations over here feels right. Maybe this one can move a little bit to the east. And also let's move it down to 5 meters. Maybe even 4 meters, that's much cheaper. So we'll have it like this. And the name of that station is Romeinshof. So let's go to 5 meters to cross this road, and then let's go to 4 meters as it's cheaper. Let's not go through the park. Parks are another thing I would like to avoid where possible. The other station can move a little bit further to the east as well. And we keep it at plus 4 meters. And the name of this station is Binnenhof. Alright. Of course we need a crossover here. Then let's also build in the other direction for another line. Going at plus 4 meters. So there is a station right over there. That would be good to keep. Let's see if we can go to 5 meters after the station to cross the road. That seems to be no problem. And the name of that station, oh, also let's connect this, is Hesseplaats. And then we have another station over there. Let's check the demand. So this one we might skip. We could have another one here, but that's so close to the other one. I think that would not make sense. So let's only have this one and remove this one. And let's make them at 5 meters height so we can cross the roads. So the name of that station, so we skipped the station called Nieuw Verlaat, and the station here is called Ambachtsland. We can go to 4 meters a little bit and then move to 5 again to cross the road. Not the most straight line, that's my bad. It is in fact not that easy to build straight lines here, even though you might expect it would be quite easy. The next station is over here. Let's check the demand. There's nothing, no extra demand, so we skip it safely, and we do add the station that's over here. So let's get rid of this one. Let's move at plus 5, and we'll stay at, wait, yes, plus 5, like this. And then we'll stay at plus 5 because we need to cross a road again soon. Keep moving in this direction. And here, yeah, we do need to cross the water. So let's do so with the smallest bridge that we can. Cross water again. And I said I wanted to avoid parks, but in real life, the train does go through this park. So if it happens in real life, I'm fine with it. And then we can have a quite straight section over here. And then let's move this station up a little bit, because I think the demand, yeah, was a bit further up. So let's put it right here on this edge, and it could be 4 meters high, maybe even 3. But there's a building here. Okay, that's an issue. Alright, let's just build it at the actual place where the station is. Well, it is. It is in at these buildings. Let's build it a bit next to them. Something like this. Except we need to cross this road still. Ah, but we can connect it. So that's fine. And then in real life there's also a little yeah, place to park trains so that they can start their line, just like we did the last time with this other track. Let's do something like this, even though we won't use it in the game. And we add a crossover, and we rename this station to Nesseland. Alright, so now we can add two lines. Maybe in the future this part will be different for the two lines as well. But for now we keep it the same. So we have our C line. We keep the C line like this for now. But this AB line, we will have it continue east. Oh, and we need to build everything, of course. Discard. So what are the costs? 694. Let's build. There's a bug, it seems. Let's see, I had this bug before. I forgot what was the solution to it. Let me try that off camera, because this is a nasty bug. Alright, I have good news and bad news, everyone. The bad news is, this is a voiceover because I lost my audio while recording. The good news is I managed to fix the bug by removing crossovers, then building the rest, and then adding everything else again. So what you see here is my video recording without the audio, and I will explain later how I lost my audio. So I'm doing a voiceover after the fact. But basically all I had to do was remove all the crossovers to fix the bug, and it worked again. I just built everything else, I added more crossovers, and now here what you see me do is I wanted to make a new line, two new lines in fact, because we already had a line going from west to east in Rotterdam, but in real life there are three lines with three different colors that go from west to east, although they have some overlap in the city center. And here I'm adding the B line, which is yellow in real life, and it starts here at this train station Schiedam Center, and then it moves east, just like the line we already had, which was going from west to east. So I'm just adding all the stations to this new metro line. Especially Beurs and Blaak are very crowded stations in real life. Then it moves east, so in real life it moves a little bit further north, just like the line we already had. But here we move a bit south to go to the university and then also connect to the water bus. You see that I also forgot a crossover here, so I just needed to add that and connect everything up. So while I do that, let me explain how I lost my audio, because it's a bit of a funny story. So in the recording software I use, which is OBS, I decided to add some hotkeys. So I had hotkeys for pausing, starting and pausing the recording, which I think it's shift and comma and dot keys on my keyboard or something like that. I wanted to use something with control, but my control key is not really working, so I used something with shift. And then I thought, yeah, but what if I have to sneeze or very quickly need to mute myself? So I added a hotkey for the mute button as well, and I put that on the key next to it, which is the question mark with the shift button. Again, my control key was not really working, so I am using the question mark. So usually while playing the game, I would not use this question mark button because, yeah, in station names I could add a question mark temporarily maybe, but I'm not really using the button. Or so I thought, because then the bug happened and I was trying to figure things out. And I decided to ask in the Subway Builder Discord if anyone else had encountered the bug or had any tips. And of course, there I used the question mark, which made me mute myself on my recording software. And I did not notice this. So only after recording the rest of this entire episode, after the fact, I noticed that my audio was not there. So that's how I lost my audio. In the next episodes, I'll be sure to change this. Luckily, it only caused issues for half the episode, and that's it. Anyway, in the meantime, you see me building these two metro lines. So one line was finished, it went to the north, that's Rotterdam Alexander, which is a train station here, and then to the northeast. But this line, the A line, goes exactly the same, but then turns northwest at the end over here with two more stations. So that's the only difference with the other line. It's not a large difference. There's a lot of overlap. I made sure to not click the end station twice, which was another mistake that I did earlier. But here you see that we have the A line finished now, and also the B line, and they have a lot of overlap. Still, I put them to 12-minute frequency during the day, and then half the frequency during the night. We needed to add a lot more train cars for this. But basically that means that just for the A and B line alone, every 6 minutes or so there should be a metro vehicle for the passengers. Because here you see that the B line, we also change it to 13 minutes frequency, and then half of that during the night. And then there's also the other line that we already had, which also goes from west to east in this center of Rotterdam. So maybe every 5 minutes or less there's a metro, which is very similar to what happens in real life. But then I saw this warning that two trains got removed because they were stuck due to some kind of signal blockage. And I don't know why, but in the game, if you get this warning, there's no way to see where this happened, I think. At least I'm not aware of it. I was trying to figure out which of the trains somehow got removed or something happened to them. I looked in the list of the vehicles, tried to zoom in certain parts to see if I could find out where this happened. It says E. I'm not sure if that is the line, metro line E. I guess it is. So I was looking at this cyan metro line E to see if anything strange was going on somewhere. But I think the network was just too busy, and that is why this warning happened. So maybe we would need to increase the capacity of some stations in the future. There is a way to see the signals. Actually, I do not do that here during this recording, but there is a way to look into it in more detail. So I kind of gave up on seeing where the error is and focused on seeing if the new line works properly. And here you see me following one of the vehicles from the B line, and it seems like everything is in order. It goes from west to east and then to this train station, and then over here it goes to the right direction, to the northeast, unlike the other line that we have. So this all seems like things are working properly. Removing crossovers and then adding them again has helped us. So it ends at this metro station Nesselande, then it goes back to the train station Rotterdam Alexander, where I think there was a lot of demand over there, and then it continues towards the west again. Very similar to real life, except this part here near the university, where it goes further south than it does in real life. Then of course I also wanted to check this other line, the A line, which has a lot of overlap, especially in the city center with the B line. And this part is all the same, and it goes to the river also, and then north to the train station. But at the train station after it, it will move towards the northwest, unlike the B line. And it seems like everything is working properly for this line as well. It returns, goes back to the train station. It needs to wait a little bit for the vehicles from the B line, but I think that's fine as long as we don't have too many vehicles. It should all work out. And it goes back again. See that there is some delay in certain stations, but I think it works well enough. Still, I was a bit afraid of this error that there was a signal blockage. So I think later in the recording you see me reduce the number of trains again and the frequency. Because 3 lines that each have a 12-minute frequency, it is a bit much. I also wanted to group these lines together, so that's what you see me do here. Because even if in real life these 3 lines have 3 different colors, they are the A, B, and C lines in real life, I grouped them together here because I wanted, in my list of different lines, I wanted them to be together. The game then interprets that as, okay, then they also need to have the same color. So I chose green for this one. But I think that's fine. So in real life they have other colors, but this is just to distinguish them. And here you see me reduce the frequency a little bit because I hope to avoid having more warnings about the error this way. But yeah, that's 2 lines finished. So we have our finished lines, and what I wanted to do next is work on the 3rd line, which goes further east than the other 2 lines. And I wanted to make them split off earlier, because you see a lot of these demand bubbles that are a bit further to the east compared to the other 2 lines. So we're now going to work on the C line, and I already added where the locations of the metro stations are in real life of the C line. And I thought this station Rivium Oostlaan would be a good one to split the 2 lines off somehow. So here you see that I'm trying to figure out what would be the best way to split this station off, or could we even add another station where passengers could transfer who want to go either more towards the north or towards the east. So basically that would mean that for the part until this station they could take any of the 3 lines that go from west to east, but then once they arrive here they can switch so that they get on the right track again. And here you see that I added another station and that the passengers could transfer here. But I did want to see if this is actually one station group altogether. Because on this station over here you see that there's a station group. I also changed the name here because yeah, it had a very completely different name from what the water bus uses. And here they had similar names, the 2 stations. But I wanted to give this new station also the same name, but still distinguish it somehow. But then it turned out that this new station was not part of the same station group. So yeah, then I ended up deleting it again, because what's the point then? Passengers might transfer, but I think we saw it in Beurs before that they don't really want to. So here you see me struggle a little bit with putting station at the right place. I even considered this, putting 2 stations next to each other. And I think this is what I ended up keeping actually. So I wanted the line to split off just before this station so they can choose the right platform. So basically the 2 lines that would go north from here, they would need to take the north platform, of course, so I would need to make some switches here. And then the line, this new line that we're building now, that goes east, I wanted it to use the platform in the south. In order to do that though, we would need to make some changes and make sure that this line that already exists takes the north platform, not the south platform. because in the end I wanted to remove one of the tracks. But in this game, you cannot remove tracks where vehicles are still driving. So we would have to wait a while until all the A and the B line completely takes this northern path. So here you see that you cannot delete tracks. It says wait a moment before the trains are gone. But in the meantime, I just continued building this new line over here. And we wanted it to go to the east, but there's a road to cross, so we stay at 5 meters above ground. And here I'm checking what is the next best place for a station. So in real life, there are no metro stations in this area as far as I am aware, but there are some demand bubbles in this game for some reason. Maybe there's a tram or a bus, I'm not sure. Or maybe there's something else that causes this demand. So I thought this would be a nice place for a metro station, even though it does not exist in real life. Now there are quite some buildings to avoid, so that's what you see me try to do over here. There are some narrow streets, and this looks a bit similar to the way I would play on the official maps, trying to follow the streets and avoiding buildings. But then here there was quite a sharp curve to take, so that makes things a little bit difficult. So because of this, I decided to move the station a little bit more to the east. I removed the other one, and then here still I was trying to figure out how to make this sharp curve, which is a bit finicky because the game does not allow really sharp curves. Still, this does not work, but there is some space in front of this building, going through someone's front yard, it seems. But yeah, as long as we're not destroying their house, they should be happy, right? So in the end, the easiest part is to remove the station again. First, try to get this curve to work out, and then just move the station a little bit further to the north. And there is one building here that I end up destroying. It costs 500,000. But we have enough money now. It's only a very small building. I'm sure the people there would not mind having their shed or the place where they keep their car or whatever removed. It was a really small building after all. So before moving to the place where the stations are in real life, I decided to add yet another station here because there are more demand bubbles in this area. And I could easily go 5 meters over the water, but I wanted to avoid crossing the water where possible. Even though the water does not work in this game, I wanted to keep things a little bit realistic. So that's what I end up doing here, avoiding the water and then moving towards this new station that does not exist in real life. And after that, the time had arrived to move towards the locations of the real life stations. And they're also near demand bubbles that exist in the game. So that is nice. But the demand bubbles are a bit in between those stations, so I added the station in between where the stations are in real life. It also helps avoid the actual station buildings. So the first part is quite a straight road, but then we had still some curves, and I wanted to remove avoid the water again wherever possible. So here there's quite a curve that would slow the vehicles down quite a bit. But after that there are quite a few straight sections, so I think it's still okay. And here we move to the location of this new station. There are some small pieces of water to cross, but that is all fine. But after this station, we needed to go through this area where there's a metro station in real life. It looks to me also like some kind of shopping mall. But we are in the center of Capelle aan de IJssel, which is a suburb of Rotterdam. That is the name of this metro station, Capelle Centrum. But there is one more station to go to if we want to follow those demand buildings, demand bubbles. And it also corresponds to the location of a metro station in real life, which I believe is the end station of this line. So here I was doubting whether to go underneath these buildings or destroy some buildings, but I didn't want to destroy any more buildings. We already had one shed that was destroyed. So instead, I just go around this station building in real life. So there are some sharp curves to make, but in this case it turned out to be possible. And after that it's smooth sailing with a straight section until the end point of this line. I just put this station a little bit further south, but it's still right in the middle of these demand bubbles. They're quite large demand bubbles. Apparently a lot of passengers want to go here or they live here. And this is called the Terp. So if you are in the west of Rotterdam and you want to go east, you will see that one of the lines that you can take will end at this station, the Terp, which is in the suburb of Capelle aan den IJssel, suburb of Rotterdam. Of course, we needed to add a crossover as well, and then we built this new line. So it takes a bit of a different route from the other two lines, but up until the university and then two more stations, it's still the same as the other two. So here we needed to make sure that it took the right platform, because in Rivium Oostlaan we now have two platforms. And then we wanted to make some changes to how the tracks are split over there. So I removed some part here again, just so I could remove the drift, which was now possible, and then I could connect it to the east track. And now we have two platforms in this station, Rivium Oostlaan. Made sure to add the bottom platform as part of this new line. Something weird was showing up in this north platform, but it seemed like everything was still working. So maybe later I should take a look there if things are still working properly. But then we continued to the northeast to station the Terp. And I made the mistake again of clicking twice on the end station, but luckily I saw it in time and fixed that. And there we have it, our three metro lines that go from east to west or west to east in Rotterdam. And every 15 minutes there's a train. So I just wanted to check if it works. So this is the south part that we did last time. And then it arrives at Schiedam Centrum, where the A, B and C lines are all following the same route. They stop at the same stations. Then we go to the river and then we split. We take the south platform at Rivium Oostlaan, which is not a real station. In real life it does not exist. And then it goes to the end station, which does exist in real life. So everything seems to be working properly now, and we have three different lines between the west and the east. So one splits off at the river and the other two lines, they split off at the north. And then there was a last thing that I wanted to do, and that is to work on a shunting yard. So in real life there's a shunting yard in this area near the station Onaklaan, and this would be quite troublesome, I think, of connecting everything to it. And again, the shunting yard, this is the place where the trains would be parked and cleaned and inspected. It does nothing in the game, so this is purely for aesthetic purposes and to add a little bit of realism. So I imagine that in real life, somehow the trains of these west-east lines, they go there during the night maybe because we yeah, I think in Rotterdam there's not really a night service for the metro until deep in the night. Probably after 8 o'clock in the evening, yes, but maybe after midnight or 1 o'clock in the night, I think there's not much driving around. So the vehicles need to be parked somewhere, so usually they are parked in shunting yards like these. And then they can also be inspected to see if everything still works. The inside and the outside need to be cleaned and so on. So here are two tracks that go from east to west, or three tracks even. So here the vehicles can be stored for the public transport company. And then I wanted to make this curve around 180 degrees, which is always a bit of a difficult thing to do in this game because no sharp curves are allowed. So we need to make the curve a little bit wider. But in the end it seems to work out. And this is probably not what this shunting yard looks like in real life, but this whole area is reserved for it. So I think it's still nice to have something that makes a little bit of sense. Now the trains can only move in one direction, but I think that's okay. I think it still adds some aesthetics to this game, which is not really about aesthetics. And there is actually a demand bubble not too far from this shunting yard. So it would even be possible to add a train station, or a metro station rather, over here. But I decided to not go for it. I think it doesn't make too much sense. You would need yet another line maybe, or the lines that already exist would need to make quite a detour to get here. It's not really on the route. So I decided to not build any more stations in this area. We are at 0 meters above ground, which makes sense for a shunting yard because you don't want people who have to clean a vehicle to move up multiple stairs or move down multiple stairs every time. But right now you see that this was all a single track, and we need a way for the vehicles to get back on track as well. So here we go above ground again, or rather higher up above ground, to see if we can connect to this line. And the line is 5 meters above the ground, so we could connect it if the curve was not too sharp. It seems like this all works out. So now we have one of the lines connected at least in one direction. When it goes from north to south, a vehicle could go to the shunting yard. But when it goes from south to north, this is difficult, so we need to add another single track. And it needs to curve around a little bit. Right now it's still at 5 meters above the ground because there are some roads to cross. But here there's a part where we could change the height. But it is a bit puzzling how this needs to be done. So the easiest part would be to just let the trains go to the train station over here and then use the crossover to go to a different track. But it would be nice if there was a way to go from the eastern track of this line towards the shunting yard. So here we go 9 meters above the ground to go above the other track, then to 5 meters again, and then it is possible to connect to the other single track. So this works. We can now enter the shunting yard, and then to exit it again, it can just go to the train station and then use the crossover track to get back on track. Now for this other line over here in the east, we might need to do some larger sections of track in order to connect everything. We are still 5 meters above ground, and as long as we can connect to this other track, we should be fine. And it seems to work out, at least in this direction from north to south. But then, after passing through the shunting yard, you get to this metro station Onoklaan, and from there, if you want to go east again, we need to build another single track that follows the road 5 meters above the ground. And we just let it go to this train station, and then with the crossover, the train can reverse directions. And then for 110 million, we can build this entire shunting yard area, which is purely for aesthetics in the game. In theory, a vehicle could go there, but as there are no stations, there is no need for the vehicles to go there. And we already had a shunting yard in the south of the city for the other line, the D and the E line, the cyan lines. But now we have it for the east-west line as well, which is really nice. I think it looks great on this network map. And that's the end of this episode. So next episode we should connect some of the other outskirts of this area, maybe different towns around the Rotterdam-Den Haag area. But we'll see. We built multiple lines, and I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.